All right, here we have a 2020 Coleman Scrambler 125. I found this on Facebook Marketplace and had never heard of a Coleman four-wheeler before and couldn't find out too much about them, but it was a pretty good deal. I bought it not running. It would crank over, but it wouldn't start. The previous owners had not run it for 8 months. They stopped running it because the chain came off and was jammed into the side cover over here. And the reason it came off is because the chain adjusters came loose. I took some of that apart to fix it. From what I could find out on these Coleman four-wheelers, the biggest downfall is that dealers have to assemble them and they don't always know how to or do it properly or care. So I suspect the chain coming loose may have been an assembly issue. It looks like the chain jammed in here in the side sprocket. It didn't do too much damage, nothing permanent, nothing's broken, doesn't look like. So I pulled the foot side cover plastic off there. That went pretty well. This is a 125. It has forward and reverse. You just click it forward to go forward and you click it back to go back, I guess. It doesn't look like a Chinese quad. So it's Coleman branded, but if you look even on the plate, it's made by something Tao Vehicles. Made in China, naturally. And then looking at it so far, I found a few interesting and a few humorous things. It has disc brakes, hydraulic disc brakes all the way around, which is pretty cool for something this cheap. They're pretty tiny, they're like 4-inch discs in the front, but I guess they get the job done. The lever actually has pretty good feel to it. And then you got your parking brakes there. Same thing on the rear, it's pretty good feel to it. And that was a little more substantial back here. It looks reasonably well made. Like the frame's fairly stout. The engine is fairly Chinese-ish. I haven't had it running yet, but in taking the carburetor off, I saw a couple other funny things. So here is the fuel filter coming down from the tank. That's not unusual. So back here, my phone turned off. So here's the fuel filter. Back here is the breather line that goes from the crankcase up to the air inlet there. And in between is another fuel filter. It has the same markings, same flow direction, same size, same color, all that. So that is apparently a fuel filter to stop your oil mist from getting sucked into your carburetor, for however that works. My phone shut off and I said a bunch of stuff, so I forget what I said and what I didn't say. Clearly more signs that this engine is made for multiple uses. On the top of this sprocket cover, there's 2 tapped holes. On the bottom, there's 3. It's obviously made for different configurations because that cover on this model is only using 1 top and 1 bottom. The controls and stuff up here, like I said, the brakes feel pretty good. It has a kill switch, headlight on and off. The switch kind of sticks a little bit. Other people's reviews said the headlights work pretty good after dark. Tether kill switch is standard. Throttle with the throttle stop screw in case you think it goes too fast for your over 10-year-old rider or I think under 180 pounds was the rating. Here's what the screen looks like when you turn it on. Yep, 8 miles. Everything was a little bit out of adjustment. The brakes were rotated too far back, so I had to rotate those forwards. Then they wouldn't rotate forwards because the line was hitting, so I had to loosen the banjo bolt to push the line forwards to allow this to rotate forwards. Now it looks a lot better set up. Same thing on both sides. The throttle cable was misadjusted. I had to stretch that out a little bit to get that to feel right. So everything might need a little adjustment or tightening up. Planning to get it running and then kind of go through it and see what's loose and what needs tightened up. So far it's been pretty nice to work on, except for to get this rear axle carrier off. There's 2 bolts that hold it on in the bottom that pivot or that slide for the chain adjustment. One down in there and one over there. So you put a nut on here and you tighten it up to pull the bottom back until the chain's tight. And I don't see any way to get those out except with a 13mm wrench up from the bottom, a 1/16 of a turn at a time, like that. And that's not very fun. So I don't know if they could have done that better somehow. I think that's the only way to get to it because this metal part here is the frame. Maybe you're supposed to take that skid plate off, then you can get up under there with the ratchet, possibly if there's room between there. So we'll take the carburetor out and clean that, put some fresh fuel in, see if it starts. Oh yeah, it's got a back rack and a front rack. Thought that might be fun for the kids to strap on, shovel or something, go out to the woods and dig. They love to dig holes. There it is, Scrambler Sport Spirit Sport Racing, AT125 UT. All right, now that I got the carburetor out, there's a few more interesting things. The choke feels like it's gonna break because of the way it pushes against the other plastic piece. I'm gonna spray some graphite on there to see if it loosens up a little bit, but it feels like the lever is going to break. But so far it has not. The choke is just a butterfly valve. There's no spring-loaded flapper like some of them have to let air through once it starts. It's just blocked or not blocked. And then we get to the really interesting part. I was gonna take the float bowl off to see if the jets were clean, and it appears like they don't want you taking that apart. I don't think that's a hex. It's like a safety screw that they screw together and then break the head off. If you look on the top, it looks like it's threaded. Well, in real life, it looks like it's threaded. Looks like they threaded it in there and then broke the heads off. So there's no way to take the float bowl off to change jetting or whatnot. Maybe they're afraid of emissions, but I kind of doubt it. That's the gasket on between the carb and the engine. Pretty straightforward carburetor. The only adjustment on it is this screw up here, and that was out 1 turn from bottomed, and that is just the idle speed. So you can't really adjust anything else. There's another port that was set and blocked, it looks like. So hopefully everything in there is clean. If you have dirt in there that needs cleaned out, I guess too bad. Drill it out and put your own screws back in maybe. I'm just gonna put this one back together because it's pretty new and I don't think there's dirt or dried fuel in there. I guess there's a drain screw too. So there you have it. Pretty quick and easy to take out. Nice to work on. All right, drain the carburetor, drain the tank, put fresh gas in. actually a nice aluminum cap, steel tank. I guess steel for emissions reasons. You can kind of see it shiny up there. The filter looked good. The shutoff valve does not work. It feels like the O-rings in there have swelled or deteriorated or something. So almost brand new, and the shutoff valve doesn't work. I didn't have a 3/16 plastic valve to put in there, but I do plan to replace that at some point. I put a little bit of dielectric grease between the intake and the head. Yeah, maybe I should have used silicone, but it looked dry and flat, and I did not trust that to maintain an airtight seal. So dielectric grease, tiny little bit, should seal the air. So we're gonna try and start it up here. Got the choke on. So choke lever's way up underneath here. Down is off. Up is on. On. And it will not crank unless the left brake is on. Hey, that was pretty nice. So it's smoking excessively because I put a little bit of oil in the cylinder to try and either improve compression or save the cylinder in case it was dry from sitting for so long. Maybe it's flooded now, actually. It's not so bad. Another thing I found, check out this air filter. So look how loose this is. You might think the clamp is loose, but the clamp is actually tight. And it's where the air filter goes into that rubber collet is pretty loose. I'm not sure much air will get through there, but if you're the kind of guy that goes through a lot of water, that is not going to hold water out. But it starts and runs, so that's good.